Commander June stood frozen at the control center window. Her dark eyes looked up at the sky, where strange shapes now hung like metal clouds. 6 huge ships had appeared just 30 minutes ago. They were bigger than any building on Earth, shaped like arrows, and made of dark metal that seemed to eat the light. "Commander, what are we looking at?" asked Lieutenant Kim, his voice shaking a little. June did not answer right away. The room around her was full of scared people. Screens showed the giant ships from different views. Some people were crying. Others were making fast phone calls. The world's leaders needed answers, but June had none to give. "I don't know," she finally said, "but they're not from Earth." The biggest screen suddenly went black, then showed a new image. A face appeared. If you could call it a face, it looked more like a mask made of moving metal parts. When it spoke, its voice was deep and had no feeling. "People of Earth, we are the Vector Empire. Your planet is now under our control. You have 48 hours to surrender all weapons and agree to serve us. If you refuse, we will destroy your major cities one by one." The screen went black again. The room erupted in noise. Admiral Park slammed his hand on the table. "Quiet. Commander June, what options do we have?" June looked at the data coming in from their sensors. "The ships have shields we can't scan through. They're positioning themselves over major cities: Seoul, New York, Moscow, Beijing, London, and Cairo." "Can we hit them?" asked Park. "We can try," said June, "but I don't think our missiles will do much against ships that size." Park nodded and gave the order. Within minutes, missiles launched from bases around the world. Everyone watched the screens as the weapons flew up toward the alien ships. None hit their targets. When the missiles got close, they simply stopped working and fell back to Earth. "They have some kind of technology that shuts down our electronics," June said. She watched as fighter jets tried to approach the ships, only to lose power and fall from the sky. The pilots barely had time to eject. As chaos spread around her, June's mind drifted to a memory. She was 10 years old, standing in a field on her family's farm outside Seoul. Her grandfather Tai stood beside her, his wrinkled hand on her shoulder. "Watch closely, little one," he had said. On his arm sat a beautiful falcon with sharp eyes. These birds were hunters long before humans built their first tool. When everything else fails, they remain true. Grandpa Tai had raised his arm and made a special whistle. The falcon took off, climbing high into the sky until it was just a dot. Another whistle, and the bird dove down faster than seemed possible, catching a rabbit June hadn't even seen. "That is power," her grandfather had said. "Not in guns or computers, but in things that listen to the old ways." The memory faded as Admiral Park shook her shoulder. "Commander, we need options." June looked at the screens showing the alien ships. These Vector invaders clearly had technology far beyond Earth's. Their ships were probably run by computers, by artificial minds that could think faster than humans. But maybe that was also their weakness. "Sir," she said slowly, "I need to make a call to my family's farm. I have an idea, but you're going to think it's crazy." Park looked desperate. "At this point, Commander, I'll take crazy over nothing." June nodded and reached for her phone. As she dialed, she looked again at the alien ships hanging in the sky. They ruled space with their metal wings. But June knew something they didn't. Sometimes the oldest weapons were the ones your enemy never saw coming. "Grandpa," she said when the old man answered, "remember how you always said our family gift would save the world someday? I think that day is today." 15 years earlier, a young June stood in the morning mist. The grass was wet under her feet. She was 12 years old, thin but strong, with determined eyes that missed nothing. "Be still," Grandpa Ta said. "The bird can feel your heart beating." On June's arm sat a young peregrine falcon named Bayul. The bird was small but had fierce eyes. Its talons gripped the thick leather glove that covered June's arm from hand to elbow. "Bayul is not a pet," Ta said. his voice gentle but firm. "She is not a tool or a weapon. She is a partner who will fly for you if you earn her trust." June nodded. All around them, the family farm spread out in the hills outside Seoul. Unlike most modern farms with machines and computers, the Song family farm looked like it belonged to another time. Here, they kept the old ways alive. "Our family has trained birds for 1,000 years, Tai continued. "When others forgot and turned to new things, we remembered. This is not just history, June. It is wisdom." Ta showed June how to move her arms smoothly, how to use the whistle, and how to reward Bayol when she returned. For hours they practiced, until June's arm ached from holding the bird. "Why must we learn this, Grandpa?" June asked during a rest. Her friends in school played with computers and talked about becoming engineers or doctors. None of them spent their days with birds. Ta smiled. "Because someday, when machines fail, we will need to remember what came before. The old ways still have power." Days turned into months, months into years. June learned to train not just one bird but many. Hawks, falcons, even eagles responded to her whistles and hand signals. She had a gift, Ta said. The birds trusted her like they trusted few humans. On her 16th birthday, Tai took her to the highest hill on their land. The morning was clear, and they could see the city in the distance. "Look at Seoul," Ta said. "So many tall buildings, so much technology. They think this makes them strong." He pointed to a falcon circling high above them. "But Bayol can fly higher than their tallest tower. She can see things no camera can see. And most important, she cannot be hacked or controlled by others." June watched as Bayol dove suddenly, dropping from the sky faster than anything June had ever seen. The falcon caught a rabbit in its talons and returned to June's arm with the prize. "That is why we keep the old ways," Ta said. "Because true strength comes from what is real, not what is made." When June was 18, she joined the Korean Space Defense Force against her grandfather's wishes. "The future is in space," she told him. "I can use what you taught me there." Ta shook his head. "Your birds cannot fly in space, child." "Maybe not," June said, "but the way of thinking you taught me works anywhere." Now, as Commander June looked at the alien ships hanging over Earth, those lessons came back to her. The world's most advanced weapons had failed. Missiles shut down. Fighter jets fell from the sky. Even communication systems were starting to fail. But June remembered what her grandfather had always said: "When technology fails, return to what is real." She made the call to the farm. When Tai answered, his voice was calm despite the chaos in the world. "Grandpa, I need all the birds, and all the trainers you know." "So it has come," the old man said. He didn't sound surprised. "How many do you need?" "All of them," Jum said. "And I need you to teach others. As many as possible in 48 hours. It cannot be done so quickly," Ta warned. "This art takes years to master." "We don't have years," Jun said. "We have 2 days before the aliens attack. I have an idea, but I need the birds." There was silence on the line. Then Ta spoke, his voice now filled with purpose. "I will call the other families, the old ones who still remember. We will bring the birds." As June ended the call, Admiral Park looked at her with confusion. "Birds?" he asked. "You want to fight alien warships with birds?" June nodded. "Yes, because they'll never see it coming." 24 hours had passed since the alien ships arrived. The world was in panic. Major cities were being emptied as people ran to the countryside. Roads were jammed with cars. The countdown clock on every screen showed just 24 hours left before the aliens' deadline. In Seoul, the United Earth Defense Council gathered in an underground room. Military leaders from 12 countries sat around a large table. Their faces showed fear and hopelessness. "Our best weapons did nothing," said General Wu from China. "Their ships block all our signals. Our missiles fail before they get close." "We have tried talking to them," said the British admiral. "They do not answer." Admiral Park stood up. "We have one more idea to discuss," he said. He did not sound confident. "Commander June has a different approach." All eyes turned to June as she walked to the front of the room. Next to her was a man with a serious face. Minho, her childhood friend who had also learned the art of falconry from his family. "What I am about to suggest will sound crazy," June began. "But our normal ways have failed, so we must try something the enemy won't expect." She pressed a button, and a picture of a peregrine falcon appeared on the screen. "Birds?" asked General Wu, his eyebrows raised high. "You want to fight alien ships with birds?" Some people laughed. Others looked angry. But Admiral Park raised his hand for silence. "Let her speak," he said. "The vector ships have shown they can stop anything electronic," June explained. "They shut down our missiles, our planes, even our communications, but they cannot stop something that isn't electronic." Minho stepped forward. "These birds can be trained to carry small items. They respond to whistles and hand signals, nothing the aliens can block." "And what would these birds carry?" asked a French general, not hiding her doubt. "What can a bird do against a spaceship?" "Small bombs," Jum said simply. EMP devices that could damage their systems from the outside. The right explosive in the right place can do more than a missile in the wrong place. The room was quiet as everyone thought about this strange idea. "How would the birds even reach the ships?" asked someone. "They're in near orbit." "We have suits for the birds," Minho explained. "And we would go up in stealth shuttles, get close enough for the birds to reach the target, then return." Admiral Hyun, the head of the council, stood up. He was an old man with cold eyes that had seen many battles. "This is not a military plan," he said harshly. "This is a child's fairy tale. We need real solutions." June stood straight and looked directly at him. "Sir, with respect, we have no real solutions. Everything else has failed. The aliens expect us to fight with technology, with things they can easily stop. They don't expect living creatures trained by humans." From her bag, June took out a small box and opened it. Inside was a tiny device, smaller than a coin. "This is an EMP pulse generator," she explained. "One of these in the right place could disable part of their ship. Many of these could do serious damage. A falcon can carry this easily." "And how many trained birds do you have?" asked Admiral Hyun, still not convinced. "My grandfather has gathered over 50 master trainers from across Korea," Jun said, "each with multiple birds, and we can teach basic commands to hundreds more birds in the time we have left." The room erupted in argument. Some military leaders thought the idea was foolish. Others were desperate enough to try anything. Finally, Admiral Hyun raised his hand for silence. "We have tried everything else," he said slowly. "Our missiles failed. Our planes failed. Our best technology means nothing to these aliens." He looked tired but determined. "We will try Commander June's plan." He turned to June. "You have 12 hours to show us this can work. If it fails, we surrender." June nodded. "We won't fail, sir." As they left the meeting, Minho looked worried. "Can we really do this?" he asked quietly. June watched as people rushed through the streets in panic. Above, one of the alien ships moved slowly across the sky. "We have to," she said. "There's no other choice." The mountain base buzzed with activity. It had been a secret military site, but now it was filled with birds and their trainers. Falcons, hawks, and eagles sat on perches, watching with sharp eyes as people rushed around. In the center of the main room, Jum stood with her grandfather Ta. The old man looked out of place among the soldiers, but everyone treated him with respect. He was the master now, teaching soldiers how to work with the birds. "No, not like that," Ta said to a young soldier who was holding a falcon awkwardly. "The bird must feel safe with you. Hold your arm stronger but your heart gentler." June smiled despite the pressure. Her grandfather had not changed. Even with the world about to end, he insisted on doing things the right way. Minho entered the room, followed by a woman with short hair and quick eyes. June, this is Engineer Sook. She has been working on the bird gear. Sook bowed slightly. Commander, I have something to show you. They followed her to a workroom where several tables were covered with strange equipment. Sook picked up what looked like a tiny backpack. This is a bird harness, she explained. It can carry the EMP device safely. We've made it as light as possible. Next, she showed them a small mask that would fit over a bird's head. This delivers oxygen in space. It will keep the bird alive for 10 minutes outside our ships. Will that be enough time? June asked. It has to be, Sook said simply. June nodded. Then she noticed something else on the table. What is that? Sook picked up a small whistle with wires attached to it. This is the problem we're still working on. In space, there's no air, so normal whistles don't work. We need a way for you to command the birds without electronic signals that the aliens can block. June's face fell. This was the one problem they hadn't solved. Without a way to direct the birds in space, the whole plan would fail. Suddenly, Grandpa Ta stepped forward and picked up the whistle. May I? He asked Sook. Of course, she said, confused. Tide examined the whistle carefully. Then he looked at June. Do you remember the story of Moon Hyo? June thought for a moment. The falconer who trained birds for the king during the war against Japan. Yes, Ta said. When his enemies tried to copy his bird calls, he created a special whistle that made sounds only his birds would recognize. Not different words, but different feelings in the sound. Ta handed the whistle back to Sook. You don't need air to make a sound that a bird can feel. You need vibrations. Sook's eyes widened. That's it. We can create vibrations through the suits. The birds would feel the commands rather than hear them. June looked at her grandfather with new respect. Can you teach us these special calls? Ta smiled. I have been teaching them to you since you were a child. The birds already know them. The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Trainers worked with birds, teaching them to wear the special gear. Engineers fixed the whistles to create vibrations that could be felt through the birds' harnesses. June spent hours with Bayol, her falcon, helping her get used to the oxygen mask. The bird didn't like it at first, but soon accepted it. You're the best of us, June whispered to Bayol. You'll show the others how it's done. Near the end of their training time, Admiral Hyun arrived to see their progress. June demonstrated by putting on a space suit helmet and sending Bayol to retrieve a small target in a sealed room with no air. The falcon flew perfectly, following June's vibration commands through the special harness. When Bayol returned with the target, the Admiral's doubt turned to hope. It works, he said quietly. It works, June agreed. Now we need to do it for real. Outside, the sky darkened as one of the alien ships moved overhead. Their time was running out. In just a few hours, the aliens would expect Earth's surrender. But Earth had a surprise for them. A surprise with wings and talons that would strike where they least expected it. Prepare the shuttles, Admiral Hyun ordered. We launch in 1 hour. As everyone rushed to get ready, June looked at Bayol. Ready to make history, old friend. The falcon's sharp eyes seemed to understand exactly what was at stake. The small shuttle rose silently into the night sky. Inside, June sat with 5 other handlers, each with a bird perched beside them. The birds were calm despite the strange surroundings. They trusted their humans. Approaching target zone, the pilot said quietly. Alien ship is 3 kilometers ahead. Through the shuttle's window, June could see one of the smaller Vector ships. It was still huge, like a metal mountain floating in space. Its surface glowed with strange blue lights. Remember, June said to her team, we placed the devices near the light points. That's where their power systems connect. The team nodded. They had trained for hours, but nothing could fully prepare them for this moment. They were about to attack an alien warship with birds. Shuttle going dark now, the pilot announced. All lights inside turned off. The shuttle was now running on minimal power to avoid detection. June put on her helmet and checked Biel's oxygen mask one last time. The small EMP device was secure in the harness on the Falcon's back. "Ready for airlock," she said. The small airlock at the back of the shuttle could fit only one person at a time. June went first, holding Biel carefully. The outer door opened, and space stretched before them, endless black filled with stars. The alien ship loomed closer now. June pushed off from the shuttle and floated toward it, using small jets on her suit to guide her movement. "Now we see if all our training works," she whispered to Biel. When they were halfway to the ship, Joan activated the special vibration command in her glove. Biel felt it and looked at her, waiting for instructions. June pointed to a glowing blue spot on the alien ship. Then she made another vibration signal, the command to fly and strike. Biel hesitated for just a moment. Then, in a movement that seemed impossible in space, the Falcon pushed off from June's arm and flew toward the target. The small wings beat against nothing, but the bird's momentum carried it forward. The special suit helped Biel steer in the emptiness of space. June watched, her heart racing. Behind her, the other handlers were now emerging from the shuttle with their birds. Biel reached the alien ship and landed on its metal surface. The Falcon's claws gripped a small ridge near the glowing blue light. Then, following its training, Biel placed the EMP device exactly where it was supposed to go. "She did it," June whispered. Biel pushed off from the ship and flew back toward June. As the Falcon returned, June sent the signal to activate the EMP. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a pulse of white light spread across that section of the alien ship. The blue glow flickered and died. "First target hit," June called through her radio. "Section is dark." Around her, the other handlers were sending their birds to different spots on the ship. One by one, the birds placed their devices and returned. With each EMP blast, another section of the alien ship went dark. But suddenly, the ship was not so quiet anymore. A loud alarm echoed through space, and red lights began flashing across the vector vessel. "They know we're here," Minho's voice came through the radio. All birds returned now. The handlers called back their birds. Most returned quickly, but one falcon seemed confused, circling near the ship. "Han's bird is lost," someone called out. Without hesitation, June sent Biel back out. The falcon flew to the confused bird and somehow guided it back. Both birds returned safely to their handlers. "All birds accounted for," June reported. "Return to shuttle." As they retreated back to the shuttle, the Vector ship's weapons began to move, but they were tracking electronic signals, looking for machines, not birds or simple spacesuits. The shuttle pulled away just as the alien ship fired its first shot, missing them completely. Inside the shuttle, the team watched as parts of the Vector ship remained dark. Their attack had worked. They had damaged an alien warship with birds. "It's not much damage," Minho said. "Just one small ship and only parts of it." "But it proves the concept," June replied. "The birds can get past their defenses. The EMPs work." As they flew back to Earth, a message came through from Admiral Hyun. "The Vector flagship is moving," he said, his voice grim. "It's targeting Seoul. They're starting their attack." June looked at Biel, resting peacefully after her historic flight. "We need more birds," she said. "A lot more birds." Seoul was burning. The Vector flagship had fired strange blue beams that cut through buildings like they were made of paper. Half the city was in ruins, and the other half was being emptied as people ran for their lives. From the underground command center, June watched the screens showing the destruction. Her home was gone. The farm where she had grown up was now just a smoking hole in the ground. "They hit major cities on every continent," Admiral Hyun reported. His face looked older than it had just a day before. "Millions dead already. And it's just the beginning." June turned away from the screens. Her team had gathered around a large table, looking at maps of the Vector ships. "Our first attack worked, but it wasn't enough," she said. We damaged one small ship. We need to hit them harder. Minho nodded. But we don't have enough birds or handlers for all 6 ships. Even with more trainers joining, we have maybe 300 birds total. June thought for a moment. Then she looked at Engineer Sook. What if we aim for something specific? Not just random damage, but a target that would hurt them most. Sook studied the scans they had made of the alien ships. We've noticed something interesting, she said. Every 6 hours, parts of their ships open briefly, like vents. She pointed to images showing hatches opening on the ship's sides. They're releasing heat, she explained. These ships must create enormous energy, and that makes heat that needs to be released. So they're vulnerable when the vents are open, June asked. Exactly, Sook said. And the next venting cycle is in 5 hours. Admiral Hun joined them at the table. What are you thinking, Commander? We hit all ships at once. During their venting cycle, June said. We focus our birds on those open areas. If we can damage their cooling systems, the ships might overheat. That would require perfect timing, Minho warned. And we'd need to coordinate attacks on all 6 ships simultaneously. Then that's what we'll do, Jun said firmly. For the next few hours, the base was a storm of activity. Handlers worked with their birds, teaching them to recognize the vents as targets. Engineers made more EMP devices, some designed to explode with greater force. June found a quiet corner to work with Bayol. The Falcon seemed to understand the importance of what they were doing. You've always been the smart one, June told the bird softly. I need you to lead the others. Grandpa Tai approached them. He had refused to leave the base, even when the attack started. I brought something for you, he said, holding out a small wooden box. Inside was an old whistle made of carved bone. It looked very old. This belonged to Moon Huo, Ta said, the falconer from the stories. It has been in our family for 15 generations. June took the whistle carefully. But it won't work in space. No, Tai agreed. But its spirit might. Our ancestors are with you, June. They guide your birds just as you do. June hugged her grandfather, fighting back tears. I'm scared, Grandpa. Of course you are, he said. Only fools feel no fear. But your birds trust you, and that is stronger than fear. A loud alarm interrupted them. Admiral Hyun's voice came over the speakers. The Vector flagship is moving. It's heading for our location. June rushed back to the command center. On the screens, the massive alien ship was turning toward the mountain base. They'd found us, Minho said. How? June asked. We used no electronics they could trace. Engineer Sook looked up from her computer. They must have tracked our shuttle when it returned. They followed it back. How long until they're in firing range? Admiral Hun asked. 20 minutes, someone answered. Hyun turned to June. We need to evacuate. Now. But we're not ready, June protested. The birds need more training for the vent attack. There's no time, Hyun said. We either launch now with what we have, or we lose everything. June looked around at her team, at the handlers and their birds, at the engineers and soldiers all waiting for her decision. Launch now, she said. All handlers to the shuttles. We hit them before they hit us. As people rushed to prepare, June looked at Bayol one more time. Ready for the real fight? She asked. The Falcon's fierce eyes seemed to answer. Always. 20 shuttles rose from Earth like silent shadows. Each carried 15 handlers and their birds. 300 birds of prey ready for the greatest hunt in human history. June led the main group toward the Vector flagship. It was 10 times larger than the smaller ship they had attacked before. Its metal skin gleamed coldly in the sunlight. All teams report, June called through her radio. One by one, the other team leaders checked in. They were in position around all 6 alien ships. Remember, June said to everyone, we strike when the vents open, not before. The shuttles stayed far enough away to avoid detection. They waited, watching as the massive ships hung in space, their weapons still firing down at Earth. Inside June's shuttle, the handlers checked their birds one last time. The falcons, hawks, and eagles sat calmly, already wearing their spacesuits and harnesses. Each bird carried a powerful EMP device. 2 minutes until vent cycle. Engineer Sook's voice announced from the base. June looked at Bayol. The falcon had been with her since childhood. Now they would fly together into history, or to their death. I see movement, Minho said suddenly, pointing at the flagship. Along the sides of the massive ship, panels were beginning to slide open. The vents were starting. All teams, prepare to launch, June ordered. Target the open vents. The handlers moved to the airlocks, birds on their arms. June went first, stepping out into space with Bayol. Now, she commanded. From 20 shuttles around the 6 alien ships, hundreds of birds flew into space. Their wings couldn't truly fly in the vacuum, but their special suits let them steer as they pushed away from their handlers. June watched as Bayol shot toward the nearest vent on the flagship. Other birds streamed behind, each heading for a different opening. The vector ships seemed confused. Their weapons turned this way and that, looking for electronic targets. But they found none. They couldn't understand what was attacking them. Bayol reached her target first. The falcon landed at the edge of an open vent and placed her EMP device deep inside. Then she pushed away, flying back toward June. All across space, birds were reaching the alien ships. They placed their devices and returned to their handlers. First wave complete, June reported. Activate EMPs. With a signal from the handlers, the devices all activated at once. Hundreds of small explosions flashed across the 6 ships. Blue energy flickered and died in many places. But the alien ships were far from defeated. The vents began to close, and strange small objects launched from the ships. Defensive drones, Minho warned. They're sending out hunters. The small metal spheres flew through space, heading toward the shuttles. They fired red beams that cut through anything they hit. Second wave, now, June ordered. More birds flew from the shuttles, each carrying a different kind of device. Not EMPs, but small bombs designed by Sook to target the alien drones. A hawk flew directly at one of the drones. The metal sphere fired, but the bird moved with impossible speed, dodging the beam. The hawk dropped its bomb on the drone, and the sphere exploded. All around, birds were attacking drones, destroying dozens of them. But there were hundreds more coming. We need to hit the main ship harder, June called out. Focus on the flagship. She sent Bayol out again, this time aiming for a larger vent near the center of the flagship. The falcon flew perfectly, avoiding drones and weapon fire. As Bayol placed her device and flew back, a drone spotted June. It fired, and the red beam hit her suit. Warnings flashed inside her helmet as her oxygen began to leak. Minho saw what happened and flew to her. June, get back to the shuttle. Not yet, she said, her breath coming faster as her air escaped. Look. The EMP devices inside the vents were doing more damage than they had hoped. Without proper cooling, the alien ships were starting to overheat. Parts of the flagship glowed red with heat. It's working, June said, smiling despite her danger. But the flagship wasn't finished. A massive weapon on its front began to glow with blue energy, aiming directly at Earth. They're going to fire their main weapon. Admiral Hen's voice warned from the base. If that hits, it will crack the planet's crust. June looked at Bayol, still loyal at her side, even in the emptiness of space. One more flight, my friend, she whispered. The most important one. June's oxygen was running low. Her damaged suit flashed red warnings in her helmet, but she could not return to the shuttle yet. We need to stop that main weapon, she said to Minho. And I think I know how. She pointed to a large opening that had appeared near the front of the flagship. It wasn't a cooling vent. It was the barrel of the giant weapon, now opening as it prepared to fire. If we can get inside, we might reach their control center, June explained. Inside? Minho asked, shocked. No one has ever been inside one of their ships. Exactly why they won't expect it, Jun said. She gathered 5 handlers who were close by. We're going in. Bring your strongest birds. Minho tried to stop her. Your suit is damaged. You'll run out of air. June took a small repair patch from her belt and sealed the leak in her suit. This will give me 30 more minutes. Enough time. The small team moved toward the opening of the alien weapon. All around them, the battle continued. Birds attacked drones. EMP devices damaged the ship's systems, but the flagship's main weapon continued to power up. As they reached the opening, Jun sent Bayal ahead. The Falcon flew inside the massive barrel, carrying a small camera. Through her helmet display, Jun could see what Bayal saw. A long tunnel led deep into the ship. At the end was a large room filled with strange light. That must be the control center, Jun said. Follow me. The 6 handlers flew into the weapon barrel. It was wide enough for them to move without touching the sides. Behind them, their birds followed. Inside the ship, strange lights pulsed along the walls. The air was thin but breathable. June removed her helmet, saving her remaining oxygen. The birds can fly normally in here, she told the others. Use them to scout ahead. They sent the birds forward. The falcons and hawks flew quickly through the alien corridors, their sharp eyes spotting dangers before the humans could. Suddenly, Bayal returned to Jun, making sharp cries of warning. Something's coming, Jun said. From a side passage, 3 floating robots appeared. They looked like metal balls with many arms. Each arm ended in a different tool or weapon. Don't let them touch you, Jun warned. Send the birds. The handlers gave the attack signal. Their birds flew at the robots with incredible speed. The machines tried to target the birds with laser beams, but the falcons and hawks were too quick. They dodged the beams and struck at the robots' sensors, blinding them. With the robots confused, the team moved past them and continued deeper into the ship. Finally, they reached a large door that blocked their path. Through small gaps, they could see the control room beyond. Strange creatures moved inside, their bodies half flesh and half machine. The Vector, Minho whispered. They're not just machines. June studied the aliens. They were tall and thin, with pale skin and many metal parts attached to their bodies. They moved stiffly, almost like robots themselves. How do we get past that door? One of the handlers asked. June looked at the 6 birds they had brought. Each carried a small bomb, meant for the ship's systems. We don't go through the door, she said. We send them. Carefully, June explained her plan to the birds. They needed to find small openings, fly into the control room, and place their bombs on specific targets. Can they understand something so complex? Minho asked. June nodded. These birds are smarter than the Vector think. They understand more than even we realize. She made a special whistle, using the ancient call her grandfather had taught her. All 6 birds turned their heads, listening carefully. Go, Jun said simply. Save Earth. The birds flew to the door, finding small air vents and other openings. One by one, they squeezed through and entered the control room. Through Bayal's camera, the team watched as the birds flew into the heart of the alien ship. The Vector creatures looked up in confusion, having never seen Earth birds before. Before the aliens could react, the birds dropped their bombs on the main control panels. Then they flew back toward the vents, detonating in 10 seconds. Jun said, activating the timer. We need to move. Now. The team turned and ran back the way they had come, racing to escape before the bombs exploded. Behind them, Bayal was the last to leave the control room. As the Falcon flew through a vent, the first bomb exploded. Explosions rocked the Vector flagship. The team ran through twisting corridors as lights flickered and alarms wailed. Parts of the ceiling fell around them. The weapon barrel is closing, Minho shouted as they neared the exit. The massive opening that had been the barrel of the planet-destroying weapon was slowly shutting. Beyond it, they could see the blackness of space and Earth in the distance. "We won't make it in time," one handler cried. June looked at the birds flying alongside them. "Yes, we will." She gave a special whistle command, one that her grandfather had taught her for emergencies. The birds flew ahead at incredible speed. They reached the closing exit and somehow wedged themselves into the gap, using their strength to hold it open just long enough. "Now," June shouted. The team pushed through the narrow opening and burst out into space. Behind them, the mighty Vector flagship began to break apart as the bombs destroyed its core systems. "Back to the shuttles," June ordered. They flew through space toward their waiting ships. Around them, the other 5 Vector vessels were also in trouble. Without commands from the flagship, they drifted aimlessly. Some were dark and silent, damaged by the birds' attacks on their cooling systems. As they reached the shuttle, June turned to look at the dying flagship one last time. The massive ship that had threatened to destroy Earth was now breaking into pieces, its power gone. Biel landed on June's arm, tired but alive. All 6 birds had survived their mission inside the alien ship. "You did it," June whispered to the Falcon. "You saved everyone." On the shuttle ride back to Earth, reports came in from around the world. The Vector fleet was defeated. Without their flagship's control, the remaining ships had shut down. Earth's conventional forces were now able to approach and secure them. When they landed at the mountain base, crowds cheered for the returning heroes. Admiral Hyun was waiting for them, his face showing both relief and amazement. "In all my years of warfare," he said to June, "I never thought I would see birds defeat spaceships." Grandpa Todd pushed through the crowd. He looked tired but proud as he hugged his granddaughter. "I told you the old ways still had power," he said softly. 3 months later, June stood on the hill of her family's rebuilt farm. The morning sun was warm on her face. Seoul was being rebuilt in the distance, and all across Earth, cities were coming back to life. The remaining Vector ships had been studied by Earth's scientists. Their technology would help humans reach the stars faster than anyone had dreamed possible. But today, June wasn't thinking about space or aliens. She was watching Biel fly in wide circles above the farm. The Falcon was free of equipment now, just enjoying the wind under her wings. Minho walked up the hill to join her. "The United Earth Council wants to talk to you," he said. "They're creating a new military branch based on your methods. Birds and handlers working together to protect Earth." June smiled. "Will you help lead it?" "They want both of us," Minho replied. "But I told them you need time first." June nodded. She had lost friends in the battle. She needed time to heal, to remember why they had fought so hard. A messenger arrived, bringing news that made June's eyes widen. "What is it?" Minho asked. "Other worlds," June said quietly. The Vector had conquered 12 other planets before they reached Earth. "Those worlds are asking for our help now." "Our help? What can we offer?" June looked up at Biel, flying free in the blue sky. "We can teach them what my grandfather taught me. That true strength comes from working with nature, not fighting against it." She held out her arm, and Biel flew down to land gently on it. The Falcon's eyes met June's, and a silent understanding passed between them. "The Vector rule the galaxy with ships of steel," June said. "But we showed that sometimes the oldest ways are the most powerful. A bird that answers to a whistle. A bond of trust between species." As the sun rose higher, June lifted her arm and sent Biel back into the sky. Soon, humans would go to the stars. But they would go not just with machines, but with wings of flesh and feather. Not as conquerors like the Vector, but as friends to all life. And somewhere out there, other worlds were waiting to learn what Earth had always known, that the strongest power in the universe was not steel or fire, but the bond between living things.